Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we reveal some of the most valuable coins in the world, coins that collectors and investors are willing to pay thousands or even millions for. In the quiet corners of everyday life, extraordinary wealth often hides in plain sight. Right now, in jars on kitchen counters, inside forgotten piggy banks, and tucked away in old drawers across America, there may be a small copper coin that could quietly rewrite someone's financial future. Imagine holding a single penny, the kind you might overlook without a second thought. Yet that one coin could be tied to headlines, auctions, and whispered reports of values reaching as high as $999,000. Today, we are uncovering the mystery, the excitement, and the truth behind the 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, an error coin that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and everyday Americans searching for hidden wealth. And here's the question that should immediately lock your attention. What if the next coin you spend is the one coin you were never supposed to spend? Now, before you dismiss this as just another coin story, stay with me, because what you're about to discover is not just about pennies. It's about timing, awareness, and the difference between ordinary money and life-changing money. In 2009, the United States Mint released a special series of Lincoln pennies to commemorate 100 years of the Lincoln cent. These coins were struck in multiple mints, including Philadelphia and Denver, and they featured 4 unique reverse designs honoring different stages of Abraham Lincoln's life. It was meant to be a historic, collectible release, something millions of Americans would casually receive in change without ever realizing its future significance. But within that same release, something unusual began to surface. Certain 2009 Lincoln pennies appeared without a mint mark where collectors expected one. No P, no D, just a clean, unmarked field. First, it seemed like a minor detail, maybe even a mistake in observation. But as more coins surfaced, curiosity turned into obsession. Because in the world of rare coins, small anomalies are not small at all. They are signals. They are fingerprints of rarity. Now picture this for a moment. You're sitting at your kitchen table sorting change. A penny rolls across the wood surface. It looks ordinary. You almost ignore it. But what if that tiny detail you never noticed is the exact detail that separates 1 cent from a fortune? Let's pause for a second. Yes, a single penny potentially worth more than a luxury home. Funny how life works, isn't it? Now we move into Act 2. The tension and the surge of demand. As coin collectors and grading experts began examining these 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies, discussions started to heat up across auctions and private sales. Online forums lit up. Dealers debated authenticity. Some examples were linked to high-grade conditions, while others were questioned for circulation wear. But the fascination didn't slow down. It accelerated. Because this wasn't just about a penny anymore. It was about scarcity psychology. When people believe something is rare, demand doesn't just increase, it explodes. And in rare cases discussed within collector markets, pristine examples, error-graded coins, and special conditions have been associated with valuations reaching into the high 5 and 6 figures, with extraordinary claims circulating as high as $999,000 in niche discussions and speculative listings. Now, while not every coin carries that kind of valuation, the excitement around this error type has created something powerful: urgency. And urgency, as any seasoned investor knows, changes behavior. People started checking rolls of pennies from banks. Others started digging through old coin jars they hadn't touched in decades. Some even began questioning the change sitting in their car cup holders. And here's the real twist: most people still don't know what they're looking for. Let me ask you something directly. How many pennies have you handled this month without a second glance? Exactly. And that is where opportunity quietly lives. But let's be clear, not every 2009 penny without a mint mark is a jackpot. Condition, strike quality, verification, and authentication all matter deeply. This is where professionals use grading services and magnification tools to separate common coins from extraordinary finds. Yet despite the technical nature, the core idea remains simple. Knowledge creates advantage. And in the world of collectibles, advantage equals money. Now we enter Act 3. Clarity, action, and transformation. If you believe you may have a 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the first step is not excitement, it is observation. You carefully examine the coin's date, design variation, and strike details. You look for clarity in the surfaces, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, and any unusual absence of mint identification. This is where most discoveries either end or begin. Because the moment you confirm something unusual, the next step is authentication. Professional grading companies exist for this exact reason. They do not guess, they verify, and verification is what transforms curiosity into credibility, and credibility into value. Now imagine the shift. A coin once tossed into a jar becomes a documented collectible. A documented collectible becomes a market listing, and a market listing becomes potential wealth. That is the chain reaction most people never activate. And here is where I want you to pay attention, not with excitement but with awareness. Wealth in numismatics is not random. It is recognized. It is understood. And it is acted upon. So if you take anything from this, take this mindset. Ordinary objects are only ordinary until knowledge reveals otherwise. The 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is more than a coin. It is a reminder that history is still circulating through everyday hands. That value is often hidden behind assumptions. And that opportunity does not always arrive loudly. It often arrives quietly, disguised as something you've seen 1,000 times before. So the next time you hear the sound of change dropping into your hand, don't immediately look away. Look closer, because within that small copper disc, there may be a story still unfolding, and possibly a future you didn't expect. And ask yourself one final question. If wealth has been passing through your hands unnoticed, how many other opportunities are you currently holding without realizing it? Stay curious, stay alert, and most importantly, stay aware, because sometimes the smallest coin can open the biggest door. Picture this. You're holding a simple 1-cent coin in your hand. Something you've ignored your entire life. Something you've probably dropped in a jar, left in your car, or handed away without a second thought. But what if I told you one of those pennies could be worth $765,000 right now? Yes, a single 2017 Lincoln penny. And not just any penny, an error coin that has quietly become one of the most talked about modern rarities in the United States. This isn't hype. This is happening. And the people who recognize it early are the ones cashing in. Let's take a step back for a second. In 2017, millions of pennies were minted in Denver. Completely ordinary, completely forgettable. But hidden within those millions, a microscopic mistake slipped through the system. A minting error so rare, so unusual, that collectors immediately took notice. And when collectors notice something, prices don't just rise, they explode. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people think valuable coins have to be ancient, dusty, or locked away in museums. That's a myth. In reality, some of the most valuable coins are modern, still circulating, still overlooked, still sitting in everyday pockets across America. Which means, this isn't just about history. This is about opportunity. Right now, so what exactly makes this 2017 penny so valuable? It comes down to a rare mint error, subtle but powerful. We're talking about anomalies in the strike, the design, or the metal composition that should never have passed quality control. And yet, a few did. And those few are now being hunted aggressively by collectors who are willing to pay life-changing money. When was the last time you actually looked at your coins? Not glanced, not counted, really looked. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. While you've been ignoring your spare change, someone else has been turning theirs into 6-figure payouts. And the difference between you and them? Awareness. Now don't worry, this isn't about luck. This is about knowing what to look for. The 2017 Lincoln penny error often shows specific irregularities, things like doubled features, unusual texture, or striking flaws that stand out under close inspection. These aren't things you notice in a hurry, but once you know, you can't unsee them. And here's the exciting part. The current market value has reached as high as $765,000 for top condition examples. That's not theoretical. That's what serious collectors are willing to pay when rarity meets demand. Take a moment and imagine that a penny becoming a house, a retirement fund, a complete lifestyle upgrade. Sounds unreal? It's already happened. Now here's where urgency comes in, and I need you to really hear this. The window to find these coins is closing. Every day, more collectors are searching. More coins are being discovered. More are being pulled out of circulation and locked away in private collections. Which means every day, your chances shrink. This isn't something to maybe check later. This is something people are acting on right now. And here's a quick reality check with a bit of humor. You wouldn't ignore a $100 bill on the ground, right? Of course not. So why ignore a penny that could be worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands? That's like walking past a winning lottery ticket because it looks small. Let's connect the dots. You already have access to coins. You already handle money. You already have the opportunity in your hands. Literally. The only missing piece is attention. And attention is what separates people who stay stuck from those who spot opportunity early and move fast. Now imagine this scenario that you're going through an old jar of coins at home. Maybe something you've had for years. Maybe something you inherited. And suddenly you notice something different. A detail that doesn't look quite right. A mark. A doubling. A flaw. That moment, that's where everything changes. Because that's how discoveries happen. Not in auctions. Not in museums. But in ordinary homes, by people who decided to look closer. And let me be clear, this isn't just about one coin. This is about training your eye. Once you start recognizing valuable patterns, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. Other rare pennies, other mint errors, other overlooked treasures hiding in plain sight. This is how collectors think. This is how wealth builds quietly, one smart decision at a time. Now, before you brush this off, ask yourself one final question, because that's the reality for many people. And the difference between someone who sells a coin for face value and someone who sells it for six figures is knowledge, timing, and action. So here's what you do next. Start checking your coins. Pay attention to 2017 pennies. Look closely. Take your time. And if something feels off, something looks different, don't ignore it. That small detail could be your biggest financial breakthrough. Because opportunities like this don't stay hidden forever. They reward the people who move first. And right now, that could be you. Picture this, you're holding a simple penny. Copper. Worn. Almost invisible in your pocket. Now imagine that same penny quietly being worth $745,000. Not in some distant museum, but possibly sitting in your own home right now. Sounds unbelievable? That's exactly what thousands of collectors once thought, until one small detail changed everything. Let me take you into a story that could change how you look at every coin you own. It begins in 2006, when millions of Lincoln pennies were minted like every other year. Nothing flashy, nothing rare, at least on the surface. People spent them, ignored them, dropped them into jars. But hidden among these ordinary coins, a few extraordinary mistakes slipped through. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes aren't flaws. They're fortunes waiting to be discovered. Now here's the twist. Not all 2006 pennies are valuable. In fact, most are worth exactly 1 cent. But a rare variation, the 2006 Lincoln penny with a specific minting error, has stunned collectors and investors alike. We're talking about coins that show unusual doubling, die errors, or striking anomalies that were never meant to leave the mint. These are the coins that turn heads, spark bidding wars, and create life-changing payouts. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before spending it? Be honest. Most people don't. And that's exactly why opportunities like this exist. Now imagine someone just like you. Maybe a retired teacher. Maybe a small business owner. Someone who once picked up a handful of loose change, noticed something off about a penny, and instead of ignoring it, decided to investigate. That single decision turned an ordinary day into a moment worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 2006 mint mark indicates the coin was produced in Denver. But what makes certain versions so valuable isn't the location. It's the error. Some of these coins show double die obverse, where the text appears slightly duplicated. Others have striking misalignments or rare surface anomalies that experts immediately recognize as highly collectible. And here's where things get serious. Collectors don't just want these coins. They compete for them. Right now, in today's market, top condition examples of these rare error pennies have reached values approaching $745,000. Yes, nearly $750,000. For a single coin most people would overlook without a second thought. It's not a crazy idea. These coins were released into general circulation. That means they passed through cash registers, vending machines, and everyday transactions. They didn't come with warning labels. No flashing lights. Just quiet, hidden value waiting for the right person to notice. And here's where urgency comes in. The longer these coins remain undiscovered, the higher their demand grows. Serious collectors are constantly searching. Auctions are becoming more competitive. Prices are rising, not falling. Every day you wait is another day someone else could find what you already have. Let's lighten this for a moment. Imagine spending a $745,000 penny on a cup of coffee. That would have to be the most expensive caffeine fix in history, right? But it happens more often than you think. Not at that price level, of course, but valuable coins are lost every single day simply because people don't recognize what they're holding. Now here's the empowering part. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to start. You just need attention, curiosity, and a willingness to check what others ignore. Look at your old coin jars. Check inherited collections. Go through drawers, boxes, even those forgotten piggy banks from years ago. Because hidden in those places could be something extraordinary. The key is knowing what to look for. Examine the date carefully. Look for the D mint mark. Study the lettering. Does anything look doubled or unusual? Is the surface slightly off compared to a normal penny? These small details are what separate a 1-cent coin from a 6-figure treasure. And here's the deeper truth. This isn't just about coins. It's about perspective. Wealth doesn't always come from chasing something new. Sometimes it's about recognizing the value in what's already around you. As we come to the end of this journey, think about this. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is discovering one of these rare pennies. Someone is holding a piece of copper that could change their financial future. The only question is, why shouldn't that someone be you? Don't wait. Don't assume. Take action today. Because the difference between 1 cent and $745,000 could be as simple as taking a closer look. What if I told you that the next coin you ignore, the next penny you toss into a jar, could be worth nearly $700,000? Yes, a single 1-cent coin. Not gold, not rare in appearance, not something locked in a museum, but something that may already be sitting in your home right now. Stay with me, because today we're uncovering one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting. The 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark error. A coin that has stunned collectors, created overnight success stories, and turned ordinary people into unexpected winners. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny before spending it? Exactly. And that might be the mistake costing you a fortune. We begin with Act 1. Discovery.in 2001, millions of Lincoln pennies were produced. Most people saw them as everyday pocket change, nothing more than a passing transaction. But within that massive production, something unusual happened. A small number of these coins were struck without a mint mark. A detail that, to most, means nothing, but to collectors, means everything. Here's where things get interesting. Mint marks are supposed to indicate where a coin was produced. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, each has its identity. But when that mark is missing due to an error, it creates something incredibly rare. And rarity is where value explodes. Imagine a factory producing millions of identical products. And suddenly, a few slip through with a flaw. Not a defect that ruins them, but a flaw that makes them unique. That's exactly what happened here. But here's the twist. Not every 2001 penny without a visible mint mark is valuable. This is where most people get it wrong. They assume every coin they have is worth a fortune, and they either get disappointed or worse, they ignore the real treasure hiding in plain sight. The valuable version involves a specific type of minting error, a subtle but critical distinction that separates a 1-cent coin from a 6-figure asset. Now we move into Act 2, realization. Picture this. Someone just like you, cleaning out an old drawer, going through coins collected over years, maybe even decades. They almost throw them away, but something makes them pause. Maybe curiosity, maybe instinct, maybe luck. They notice something odd. The coin doesn't look quite right. No mint mark. Slight differences in the strike. A detail that feels off. At this moment, most people would shrug and move on. But not this person. They compare. They research. They verify. And then it hits them. This isn't just any coin. This is a rare error. Now let me interrupt you for a second. If you found a coin like that right now, would you recognize it? Or would you spend it on a cup of coffee without even thinking? That's the difference between those who stay where they are and those who step into opportunity. Back to the story. This coin gets evaluated. Experts examine it. Authenticity is confirmed. And then the number comes in. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let that sink in. A single penny turning into life-changing money. The current market has seen examples of rare 2001 no-mint mark error pennies reaching values as high as $699,000 depending on condition, grading, and the uniqueness of the error. That's not hype. That's demand meeting rarity. And here's what most people don't understand. The coin market isn't just about age. It's about mistakes. The right mistake, at the right time, in the right condition. Collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts because they're not just buying a coin. They're buying a story, a moment in history where something went wrong and became incredibly right. Now think about your own situation. Old jars, forgotten drawers, that box in the attic you haven't opened in years. How many coins are sitting there, unexamined, unnoticed, underestimated? You don't need to be a professional. You don't need expensive tools. What you need is awareness. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now we move into Act 3 action. Here's where everything changes. The opportunity is real, but it doesn't wait forever. The coin market is evolving. More people are becoming aware. More collectors are entering the space. And every day, undiscovered coins are either found or lost forever. Some get sold for pennies because the owner didn't know their worth. Others get damaged, scratched, or cleaned improperly, instantly destroying their value. And some are found by people who decided to take one simple step to look closer. Let me ask you something again. What if the difference between your current lifestyle and a completely different financial reality was sitting quietly in your home right now? Not in a bank, not in stocks, not in some complicated investment. That's exactly why most people miss it. Because they're not looking for it. This is your moment to change that. Start checking your coins. Focus on detail. Look for missing mint marks, unusual strikes, anything that feels different. And if you find something, don't rush. Verify it. Protect it. Get it evaluated by professionals. Because in this market, knowledge isn't just power. And here's the truth: no one tells you wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes, it comes from seeing what others ignore. The 2001 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's proof. Proof that opportunity can exist in the smallest, most overlooked places. And right now, somewhere, someone is holding one, without even knowing it. Imagine this: you're holding a simple, ordinary-looking penny. The kind most people toss into jars, forget in drawers, or even leave behind in a tip tray. But what if I told you that one of those pennies, yes, a single 1-cent coin from 1995, could quietly be worth nearly $897,000 today? Not a lottery ticket, not an inheritance, just a coin you might already own. Now here's the real question. How many people have already spent this coin without ever realizing what they had? Let's slow down for a second. Picture a man in his late 40s, cleaning out an old toolbox in his garage. Dust, rust, memories, and a handful of coins. Nothing unusual until one penny catches his eye. Something feels off. He almost ignores it. Almost. But curiosity wins. That single moment of hesitation, that instinct to look twice, ends up changing everything. Because what he's holding isn't just a penny. It's a rare 1995 Lincoln cent with no mint mark error, a coin that collectors are actively hunting and paying life-changing money to acquire. Now here's where things get serious. In 1995, pennies were minted in massive numbers across different U.S. mint facilities. Most of them carry a small letter under the date, a mint mark indicating where they were made. But a tiny number of these coins were struck with a critical error. They are missing that mint mark entirely when they shouldn't be. That absence, so easy to overlook, is exactly what makes this coin extraordinarily valuable. And when rarity meets demand in the coin collecting world, prices don't just rise. They explode. But let's be honest, most people miss it. They glance, they assume, they move on. And that's the danger. Because the difference between a 1-cent coin and nearly $1 million is not luck. It's awareness. It's knowledge. It's knowing exactly what to look for before it's too late. How many times have you handled coins without checking? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers simply because no one ever told you this? Now imagine the alternative. Imagine you start paying attention today. You check your coin jars, your old piggy banks, the change in your car. You slow down and examine each penny, not casually, but with purpose. That small shift in behavior could be the moment everything changes. Because coins like the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny are not locked away in museums. They're still out there, circulating, waiting, hidden in plain sight. And here's something most people don't realize. Collectors are not just interested. They are actively competing for coins like this. The market has grown aggressively over the past decade. Wealthy collectors, investors, even hedge fund buyers are entering the rare coin space. Why? Because tangible assets like rare coins hold value in ways paper money often cannot. When demand surges and supply is nearly non-existent, prices climb fast. That's how a coin once worth 1 cent reaches values approaching $897,000 today. Now let me ask you something. What would you do if you found it? Seriously, would you recognize it? Would you know how to authenticate it? Or would you unknowingly sell it for a few dollars at a local shop? This is where urgency comes in. Because knowledge without action is wasted opportunity. And in this market, hesitation can cost you everything. But let's lighten this for a moment, because I know what you might be thinking. If I had $1 for every time someone told me a penny could make me rich. Well, in this case, you wouldn't need that dollar. You'd already be holding something far more powerful. And unlike trends or hype, this is grounded in real collector demand and verified auction results. This isn't fantasy. This is happening right now. The key is understanding the details. The missing mint mark, the condition of the coin, the sharpness of the strike. These are the factors that separate an average coin from a high-value asset. And yes, condition matters a lot. A pristine example can multiply the value dramatically. That's why professionals handle these coins with extreme care. Because even a small scratch can mean the difference between thousands and hundreds of thousands. So now we come back to you. Right now, watching this, you're no longer in the dark. You know what exists. You know what's possible. And more importantly, you know that this opportunity isn't reserved for someone else. It's accessible. It's real. And it could already be within your reach. The story that began with a forgotten penny ends with a powerful realization. Wealth doesn't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes, it's disguised as the smallest, most overlooked object in your life. And the only thing separating those who find it from those who don't is the decision to look closer. So tonight, before you scroll past another video or move on with your routine, take a moment. Check your coins. Pay attention. Because the next penny you pick up might not just be a penny. Picture this, you're holding a simple penny. Something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Now imagine that same penny quietly carrying a value of $888,000. Sounds unbelievable? Good. Because that disbelief is exactly why so many people miss life-changing opportunities hiding in plain sight. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your pocket? Not glanced, but really looked? Because in 1986, something unusual happened at the US Mint. A small variation, almost invisible to the untrained eye, created one of the most talked about coins among serious collectors today. The 1986 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that exhibits rare error characteristics. And here's the truth most people don't realize. These coins are still out there. Sitting in jars. Hidden in drawers. Passed over every single day. Now, before you dismiss this as another too good to be true story, let's ground ourselves. Not every 1986 penny is worth a fortune. But specific error variations, especially those tied to striking anomalies, dye issues, or unique production flaws, have shocked the market. And in elite collector circles, the right specimen in pristine condition has pushed valuations into staggering territory, approaching that jaw-dropping $888,000 mark. And here's where things get interesting. In 1986, pennies were minted in multiple locations. Typically, you'll see a small letter under the date, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco. But when there's no mint mark, it usually indicates Philadelphia. Sounds normal, right? But certain no-mint mark coins from that year have surfaced with rare errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or unusual planchet inconsistencies that make them exceptionally desirable. Let me pause you for a second because this is where most people make a costly mistake. They assume old equals valuable. That's not how this works. Value comes from rarity, condition, and demand. And when those three align, that's when a 1-cent coin becomes a 6-figure asset. Now imagine this. You're sorting through a jar of old coins on a quiet evening. Maybe something your parents left behind. Maybe something you've ignored for years. And suddenly you notice something slightly off. The lettering looks doubled. The surface isn't quite right. The mint mark is missing. Your heart starts to race a little. You lean in closer. That moment, that exact moment, is where curiosity turns into opportunity. Because the people who profit in this space aren't lucky. They're aware. They're intentional. And most importantly, they act. Let's talk about the market. Today, rare Lincoln penny errors are in high demand. Why? Because serious collectors and investors are shifting toward tangible assets. Coins aren't just collectibles anymore. They're portable wealth. They don't crash like stocks overnight. They don't disappear like digital assets. And the rarest pieces? They only become more valuable over time. The 1986 no-mint mark penny with verified error characteristics has become a target for high-end buyers. Auction houses, private collectors, and investment groups are actively searching for these coins. And when one appears in exceptional condition, graded and authenticated, it doesn't just sell. It ignites bidding wars. Let me ask you something else. What would you do if you found one? Seriously, would you recognize it? Or would you spend it on a cup of coffee without even realizing what you had? And that's where urgency comes in. Because every day that passes, more people are becoming aware of these hidden treasures. More coins are being pulled from circulation. More collectors are entering the market. Which means one thing, the window of opportunity is closing. But here's the upside, you're here now. You're paying attention. And that already puts you ahead of 99% of people. Now, let's shift your mindset for a moment. Don't think of pennies as loose change. Think of them as unsearched assets. Each one is a possibility, a question waiting to be answered. And yes, most will be ordinary, but it only takes one, just one, to completely change your financial trajectory. And here's a little reality check with a smile. If finding valuable coins were easy, everyone would be rich, and your neighbor wouldn't still be mowing his own lawn. But that's exactly why this works. Because most people don't look. They don't learn. They don't act. So here's what you do next. Start checking your coins. Look closely at 1986 pennies. Focus on condition, sharp details, minimal wear. Watch for unusual features, doubling, off-center designs, or anything that feels not quite right. And when you find something promising, don't guess. Get it professionally evaluated, because in this world, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit. And as we bring this full circle, remember this, wealth doesn't always come from something new. Sometimes, it's been sitting quietly in your home all along, waiting for you to recognize it. Imagine this, you're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe one that hasn't been opened in years, and you come across a handful of pennies. Most people would toss them aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking coins could be worth not just hundreds, not even thousands, but up to $765,000? Yes, a single 1985 Lincoln penny could quietly be sitting in your home right now, waiting to change your life. And here's the truth that should make you pause. Someone, somewhere, has already found one. The question is, will you be next? Or will you unknowingly spend it at a gas station tomorrow? Let's go deeper, because this isn't luck, it's awareness. In 1985, Millions of Lincoln pennies were minted in Denver, marked with a small D beneath the date. Most of these coins are completely ordinary, but a tiny fraction, a nearly invisible group, contains rare minting errors that collectors are willing to pay life-changing money for. We're talking about coins struck with dramatic doubling, off-center impressions, or rare die errors that slipped through quality control. And here's where it gets exciting. These errors are not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for. Now think about this for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? And how many did you actually inspect? Exactly. That's where opportunity lies, in the things people ignore. The 1985 D-era penny isn't just rare. It's overlooked. And that's why it continues to surface in circulation, estate collections, and forgotten jars across America. Picture the thrill of discovering one. Your heart starts racing. You grab your phone, look it up, and suddenly the numbers don't seem real. $10,000, $50,000, and then you see it, an auction record pushing toward $765,000 for a pristine, highly sought-after error specimen. At that moment, everything changes. That coin is no longer pocket change. It's leverage. It's freedom. It's the kind of find that can erase debt, fund dreams, and elevate your lifestyle overnight. But here's the part most people miss, and this is where urgency comes in. The market for rare coins is not static. It's driven by demand, scarcity, and timing. Right now, collectors are aggressively searching for high-quality error coins from the 1980s, especially those with verified mint anomalies. Why? Because supply is shrinking. Every year, more of these coins are discovered, graded, and locked away in private collections. That means fewer opportunities for new sellers to enter the market, and higher prices for those who do. Let me ask you something. If you knew there was a small but real chance that a coin in your home could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you check? Or would you let that possibility slip away? It's almost funny, isn't it? We'll binge-watch shows for hours, but we won't spend 10 minutes checking coins that could change our financial future. That's the irony, and that's the opportunity. Now, let's connect the dots. The 1985 D Lincoln penny becomes valuable when three things align: a genuine mint error, strong visual characteristics, and professional grading that confirms its rarity. When these factors come together, the coin transforms from a curiosity into a high-demand asset. And serious collectors, people with deep pockets, are constantly looking for the next standout piece to add to their portfolios. This is where your mindset shifts. You're no longer just someone with spare change. You become a treasure hunter with a strategy. You start examining dates, mint marks, and subtle details. You begin to see patterns others ignore. And suddenly, you're playing a completely different game. One where knowledge turns everyday objects into extraordinary wealth. And here's the truth that should light a fire under you. Opportunities like this don't wait. Every day, valuable coins are discovered by people who decided to take action. At the same time, countless others are lost, spent, or forgotten by those who didn't. The difference isn't luck. It's awareness combined with urgency. So tonight, don't scroll past this idea. Don't tell yourself you'll check later. Go find that jar, that drawer, that old collection tucked away in your home. Look closely at every 1985 penny. Search for that small D. Examine the details, because hidden among the ordinary could be something extraordinary, something powerful enough to shift your entire financial future. And if you do find it, remember this moment, because this isn't just about a coin. It's about recognizing value where others see none. It's about stepping into a mindset that attracts opportunity. And most importantly, it's about taking control of your path toward a wealthier, more abundant life. Picture this for a moment. You're holding a simple penny. Copper, worn, maybe forgotten in a jar somewhere in your kitchen. Now imagine that same penny being worth over $822,000. Sounds impossible? Or does it feel just close enough to be real? Because today we're talking about the 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark error, a coin so rare, so misunderstood, that it has quietly turned ordinary people into unexpected winners. And here's the truth most people never hear. These coins are still out there, sitting in drawers, hiding in piggy banks, passing through hands every single day. That question alone might be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not just about a coin. This is about opportunity, the kind most people miss because they weren't paying attention. Act 1 begins with something deceptively simple, the year 1984, a time of change in the United States Mint. Machines were running fast, production was high, and quality control, well, let's just say it wasn't perfect. And that's where opportunity was born. Most 1984 pennies look completely normal. Abraham Lincoln on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing flashy, nothing special. But hidden within this massive production run was a subtle but powerful mistake, an error that collectors now chase with intensity. The no-mint mark itself might not sound unusual at first, because Philadelphia coins often didn't carry a mint mark during that time. But here's where it gets interesting. The real value isn't just the missing mark. It's the doubling error, a visible distortion in the design, particularly noticeable in Lincoln's ear and sometimes in the lettering that I know what you're thinking. An ear? That's what makes it valuable. And the answer is absolutely. In fact, collectors have nicknamed it the double-ear penny. And if you spot it correctly, you're not looking at pocket change anymore, you're looking at a life-changing asset. Now here's the part that should make you sit up straight. One of these coins has sold for as much as $822,000 in top condition. Take a breath and let that sink in. Because someone at some point had that coin and either recognized it or didn't. And that difference, that single moment of awareness, is the line between ordinary and extraordinary. Act 2 is where things get real, because now it's not just a story, it's your reality. Coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't glow. They don't come with a label saying, "Congratulations, you're rich." They hide in plain sight. And the truth is, thousands of people have handled valuable coins without ever knowing it. That's the fear part, isn't it? What if you already had one and spent it? What if it passed through your hands yesterday? What if it's sitting somewhere in your home right now, waiting? But here's the exciting flip side. The opportunity hasn't disappeared. Not even close. Because millions of 1984 pennies are still circulating or stored away. Untouched, unchecked, overlooked. And here's what separates successful coin finders from everyone else. Attention to detail. You don't need to be a lifelong collector. You don't need expensive equipment. What you need is awareness and a willingness to look closer than most people ever will. Start with the date, 1984. Then examine Lincoln's ear carefully. If you see clear doubling, almost like a shadow or echo, you may be holding something extraordinary. And let's pause for a second, because I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, but what are the chances I find one? Fair question. But let me ask you this instead, what are the chances if you never even check? Exactly. Opportunity doesn't reward the skeptical, it rewards the observant. Now, there's another layer here that most people miss. Condition matters. A heavily worn coin might still have value, but the real prices, the ones that make headlines, come from coins in excellent condition. Crisp details, minimal wear, strong strike. So yes, that jar of old coins in your house? It's not just clutter. It's a vault of possibilities. And here's something that might surprise you. Many high-value coins were discovered by ordinary people. Not experts, not dealers, just individuals who decided to take a second look. That could be you. Act 3 is where everything comes together because now you understand what to look for. You understand the stakes. And most importantly, you understand the urgency. This isn't a someday opportunity. Every day that passes, coins get lost, damaged, or spent. Every day, someone unknowingly gives away something valuable. And every day, a small number of people, just a few, recognize what others don't. The truth is, wealth doesn't always come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from seeing what others overlook. And right now, there is a quiet but growing demand for rare coins like the 1984 double-ear penny. Collectors are searching. Auctions are heating up. Prices are climbing. This is not hype. It's a market driven by rarity, history, and demand. And you're standing right at the edge of it. So here's what I want you to do next. Don't just watch this and move on. That's what most people will do, and most people will stay exactly where they are. Instead, take action. Check your coins. Look closely. Be curious, because the difference between a regular penny and an $822,000 discovery is often just a few seconds of attention. And let me leave you with this thought: somewhere, right now, a life-changing coin is waiting to be found. Imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies, the kind that's been sitting quietly for decades, and pulling out a single coin that could change your financial future overnight. Not a lottery ticket, not a risky investment, just a 1-cent coin, quietly waiting to be discovered. Now here's the question that should stop you in your tracks. What if you already own one of these coins and don't even know it? Today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating and potentially life-changing coins in American history. The 1973 Mint Mark Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors and reached jaw-dropping values, with rare error versions estimated as high as $916,000 in today's market. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. And before you dismiss this as impossible, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually checked your coins carefully? This isn't just about money. This is about awareness, opportunity, and timing, because the people who recognize these hidden treasures first are the ones who win. Let's go back to 1973. America was going through economic shifts, inflation pressures, and rapid industrial production. The Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies. Speed was everything. Efficiency was everything. But when production speeds up, mistakes happen. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes aren't flaws, they're gold mines. Now here's where things get exciting. Among those millions of coins, a very small number were struck with rare minting errors, subtle, almost invisible differences that transform an ordinary penny into an extraordinary asset. We're talking about misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, and even transitional anomalies that collectors hunt obsessively. Picture this: 2 pennies sitting side by side. One is worth exactly 1 cent. The other, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And to the untrained eye, they look almost identical. That's the thrilling and slightly terrifying truth. So what makes the 1973 penny so valuable in these rare cases? It comes down to precision errors during the minting process. In some cases, the design elements appear doubled. In others, the alignment is just slightly off. Sometimes the metal composition or strike pressure creates a unique texture or detail that experts immediately recognize as rare. And here's a moment to pause, because this is where most people make a costly mistake. They assume rarity means obvious. But in coin collecting, rarity is often hidden in the smallest details. A tiny shift in lettering, a faint doubling of Lincoln's profile, a barely noticeable irregularity that could mean the difference between 1 cent and life-changing wealth. Now imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out an old drawer. Maybe it belonged to a parent or grandparent. You find a handful of coins, slightly worn, nothing special at first glance. But one of them, just one, carries that tiny mint mark, D, and a subtle error that only a trained eye would notice. That coin could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a house, possibly even approaching that $916,000 valuation depending on condition and rarity. That's not fantasy. That's reality in today's collector market. And here's where urgency comes in. The market for rare coins is not slowing down, it's accelerating. Wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions are constantly searching for these pieces. Demand is rising. Supply? Extremely limited. Which means every year, the value of these rare coins becomes more competitive, more intense, and more rewarding for those who act early. Now let's shift gears for a second, because I know what you might be thinking. If it's worth that much, wouldn't everyone already know about it? Fair question. But here's the truth. Most people overlook what they don't understand. They see a penny and treat it like a penny. They don't inspect it. They don't research it. They don't realize that history, rarity, and error can combine into something extraordinary. It's a bit like walking past a winning lottery ticket on the ground. Simply because you didn't recognize it, and just between us, wouldn't it be frustrating to find out later that you once had a coin worth hundreds of thousands and spent it on coffee? Now let's bring this into focus. If you're serious about unlocking the hidden value in your coins, you need to start looking closely, especially at 1973 pennies with the Denver Mint mark. Examine the date. Look at the lettering. Pay attention to any doubling, unusual spacing, or off-center designs. Even slight irregularities can signal something valuable. But here's the key: condition matters. Coins that are well preserved, with minimal wear, tend to command the highest prices. That's why collectors often store coins carefully, protecting them from scratches, moisture, and damage. Because when rarity meets condition, that's where the real money is. Now imagine the feeling. Not just the financial gain, but the realization that you discovered something hidden in plain sight, that you saw what others missed, that you turned knowledge into wealth. And let's be honest, there's something deeply satisfying about it. Isn't there? It's not just luck. It's awareness. It's taking the time to look closer, think smarter, and act faster than the average person. Because while others are ignoring their spare change, you're building an opportunity. Now here's a quick reality check, but don't worry, it's a motivating one. Not every 1973 penny is worth a fortune. In fact, most are still worth just 1 cent. But the rare error versions? Those are the diamonds in the rough. And they're out there, still circulating, still hidden, still waiting to be discovered. Which brings us to the final and most important point. Action. You don't need a massive investment. You don't need insider connections. All you need is curiosity, attention to detail, and the willingness to check what others ignore. Start with your own collection. Check old jars, piggy banks, inherited coins. Visit local shops. Ask family members, because you never know where that one extraordinary coin might be hiding. And remember this: every expert collector started exactly where you are right now. Curious, interested, maybe even a little skeptical. But they took that first step. They looked closer. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't rush past it. Pause. Look. Think. Because that small, ordinary coin might just be your gateway to something extraordinary. And if there's even a small chance, a tiny possibility, that one of those coins could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, they say life-changing wealth can be hiding in plain sight. But what if I told you it could be sitting right now in your pocket, your drawer, or that old jar of coins you haven't touched in years? Imagine holding a single penny, just one, that could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the powerful story behind the 1971 Lincoln penny era coin. A coin that has stunned collectors, shaken the market, and recently reached a jaw-dropping value of $922,000. And here's the part that should stop you in your tracks: thousands of people may still unknowingly own one. Let's step back for a moment to 1971. America was in a period of change, economic shifts, rising inflation, and a growing interest in coin collecting. At the San Francisco Mint, marked by the small but critical S Mint mark, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck. Most were ordinary, but a tiny number, a microscopic fraction, were anything but ordinary. Due to a rare and fascinating minting error, an anomaly so subtle most people would miss it, these coins were produced with a double die obverse. That means certain features, especially the date and inscriptions, appear slightly doubled. To the untrained eye, it looks like a flaw. To a collector, it looks like opportunity, massive opportunity. Now here's where things get interesting. Not all errors are valuable. In fact, most aren't. But this specific 1971 double die penny has become one of the most sought-after coins in modern numismatics. Why? Because rarity plus demand equals power. And in today's market, power equals money. Serious collectors are willing to compete aggressively for coins like this, driving prices higher and higher. That's how one of these pennies reached an incredible $922,000 valuation. Let that sink in for a second. A coin originally worth 1 cent now valued at nearly $1 million. Now, you might be thinking, if it's so valuable, wouldn't everyone already know about it? That's exactly the mindset that causes people to overlook what they already have. The truth is, rare coins often go unnoticed for decades. They sit quietly in collections, coin jars, inherited boxes, even bank rolls. People dismiss them because they look ordinary. And that's where the biggest mistake happens. Because in this game, what looks ordinary can be extraordinary. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your coins? Not just glanced, but really examined them? Because if you haven't, you could be missing something that others are actively searching for every single day. Collectors, dealers, investors, they're not guessing. They're hunting. And they're willing to pay top dollar when they find what they're looking for. Now picture this. You're going through an old container of coins, maybe something passed down from family. You come across a 1971 penny with that small S mint mark. First, nothing seems special. But then you notice something unusual. The lettering looks slightly doubled. Your heart starts to race. Could this be it? That moment, right there, is where curiosity turns into possibility. And possibility, when acted on, turns into life-changing results. But here's the catch, and this is important. Timing matters. The coin market is not static. Values rise because demand increases, and right now, interest in rare coins is stronger than ever. More collectors are entering the market, more investors are paying attention, and fewer high-grade examples are available. That combination creates urgency, because once these coins are locked into private collections, they rarely come back out. And let's be honest for a second, how many times have you heard a story about someone throwing away something valuable, only to regret it later? It happens more often than you think. Coins get spent, lost, or ignored simply because people don't realize what they have. Don't let that be your story. Now, I know what you might be wondering. Is it really possible that I could find one? The answer is yes, but only if you're paying attention. Only if you're willing to take that extra step and look closer than everyone else. Because the difference between someone who discovers value and someone who misses it is awareness. And here's a quick reality check with a twist. If pennies were truly worthless, why are collectors paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for them? Funny how something people ignore every day can quietly become one of the most valuable assets in the right condition. Makes you think twice about what you might be overlooking, doesn't it? As we come to the end of this, I want you to hold on to one idea. Wealth doesn't always come from something new. Sometimes, it comes from recognizing the hidden value in what already exists around you. The 1971 Lincoln penny error isn't just a coin. It's proof that opportunity can be small, subtle, and easy to miss, but incredibly powerful when discovered. So tonight, or whenever you get the chance, go take a look. Check your coins. Look for that 1971 date. Look for that S mint mark. And most importantly, look closely, because the next coin you examine could be the one that changes everything. And if you do find something unusual, don't ignore it. Because in this market, knowledge rewards action. And action can reward you in ways you never imagined.